Here's the podcast script. The headline from the New York Times opinion section: If you love America, cringe for it, a column by Bret Stephens. Stephens opens with a Spanish expression his father loved: en los pequeños detalles se ve la persona, the person is revealed in the small details. And last week, at the G7 summit in France, two small details revealed two very different people. The first involves Donald Trump. Speaking to a journalist, the president claimed that Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, a right-wing leader he was once friendly with but has since fallen out with, quote, begged me to take a picture with her. She wanted a picture with me so badly. He added, I wouldn't have done it, but I felt sorry for her. Meloni's response was swift and pointed. She called Trump's statement totally invented, posted a video to social media, and said, and this is worth quoting in full, I don't know why the President of the United States behaves this way toward his own allies. I can only say that it's upsetting that he doesn't have the same resolve toward the enemies of the West, toward leadership to which he instead proves much more indulgent. She closed with this, I never beg and neither does Italy. Stephens doesn't spend much time guessing who's telling the truth. But he says the episode carries a lesson worth learning on the eve of America's 250th birthday. If you love America, now is the time to cringe for it. And he's careful to define what cringing actually means. It isn't just embarrassment. It involves compassion and empathy. You cringe when you feel implicated by someone else's behavior, even when they're the last to know they've humiliated themselves. He says living as a sentient American in the age of Trump means living in a perpetual cringe, morally, aesthetically, intellectually, politically. He describes the administration not as farce or tragedy, but as an absurdist travesty waiting for Godot meets Pulp Fiction meets Dumb and Dumber. And here's the core of his argument: however much Americans may disdain Trump, the president has the rest of the country on the hook. His face on the Department of Justice. His gilded redecoration of the White House. His repeated admiration for Vladimir Putin. His threats against NATO allies. His laughable claim about regime change in Tehran. His effort to attach his name to the Kennedy Center. His family profiting from his presidency. Stephens says it plainly, that's us. The same country, he writes, that freed its slaves, welcomed immigrants, invented airplanes, liberated concentration camps, and landed men on the moon now risks becoming, in his words, the global equivalent of the expensively dressed man soiling his pants at a cocktail party. But Stephens doesn't let the other side off the hook either. He says Trump's opponents have also failed, Democrats and their media allies who insisted well into 2024 that Joe Biden was fit for a second term, and progressives who pushed the party so far left it became the very caricature MAGA world claimed it was. Both, he says, are complicit. His closing call is simple: don't be afraid to cringe. Don't look away from the parts Americans on all sides played in bringing the country to this moment. Remember who America once was, because, he argues, it's what America may yet be again, if only it feels the sting of its present shame. That's Bret Stephens in the New York Times, making the case that patriotism and embarrassment aren't opposites. Sometimes, the most honest thing a country can do is wince.